This conference will now be recorded.
It makes a lot more sense once you get used to it.
Yeah, and maybe we can hit on those. So let me go find my, there we go, the agenda. So let's have, it looks like everybody's already here. Danny, it looks like most everybody.
Yes.
Okay, everybody here's already been here, except for maybe Richard. Is this your first time on the show?
It is. Usually I'm working.
Well, then let's identify you. Who are you?
I am Richard Wills. I'm the owner of Bean.
I think you cut out on the most important part.
I'm the owner of Bean Buddy Laser Accessories.
Boom. There we go. So that is who manufactures our Bean Buddy HR heads. So and maybe going to do some more stuff too, but that's another topic for another day. But all right. Well, everybody else, Richard, a lot of these guys come back and and there's some water cooler time afterwards, and so it's kind of a fellowship thing more.
Yeah, I'm just like that annoying fly that just keeps returning no matter what they do to me.
Yeah, we've been trying to figure out how to, refund Jim his money for his laser, and get him to get an AP or something. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, I can. Yeah.
All right.
So, all right. Well, let's see. What newcomer questions? Well, Richard is the newcomer as far as I know. Do you have any questions? This is the second time ever I'm actually trying to follow a protocol and give this thing some structure. If you're wondering where this is coming from.
How's that working for you?
Well, yeah, you can tell by the gallery's reaction.
It went halfway decent last week. I mean, I was able to try to move it along at 15-minute intervals.
We're thinking shock collars, and maybe some audio visual prompts and a soundboard, like a buzzer. Time to move to the next thing. But anyway, so I guess our topic is going to be if anybody has any caveats about the offloading or delivery or whatnot of the Nova 24 and Nova 35. And I guess it's good to point out that the Nova 24 is a tabletop machine, so it doesn't have wheels, and it's not standalone. But other than that, it's pretty much run-of-the-mill stuff. But if anybody has anything they want to add or comment on it, please feel free.
The smartest thing I've seen. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
For the 24, or do you want to go ahead and hit the 35?
Let's do the 24. Yeah, let's do the 24, talk about it for a second, and then hit the 35 and talk about it for a second, and then we'll go to Lightroom. So,
anybody here have a 24?
Jason does.
There you go.
I've got one too.
Okay, perfect. So from what you guys have heard about the other machines that aren't a Nova 34, do you have anything that would, be beneficial to mention or anything, or is it pretty just textbook?
Well, I mean, I got the 63 and the 24, and I'll definitely tell you the 24 is easier to get off of a semi truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, what are you looking for exactly? What kind of info?
Well, this is just general discussion over the unboxing and delivery and any things that you may run across, that might be specific to the 24. Like some of the boxes, of course we covered the big machines last week, so we didn't want to leave the other ones out just in case there was stuff to talk about.
Well, I mean, the 24, I'm assuming they're shipped the same way as what I got mine. It came in a single crate. Everything was nice and packed, condensed in there. You open up the walls and everything's just padded in there with some foam and things like that. It's fairly. It's pretty easy to get out. I mean, it's a good weight. I don't know what the weight of it is, but it took two strong hands or two strong backs to be able to put it up onto about a 26-inch platform. So I mean. It is heavy and awkward, but it's pretty easy. You can lift it really from anywhere on the bottom. Now, not have to worry about it too much.
Yeah. Now, I guess something else to note is the 24 and the 35s are the only ones that can have a tube extension. If you're going to go, I think all the 24s do because they all have 60 watts in them. They only
Yep.
When they did the 40, they didn't have one, but that was on the Mini 40. Those things were neat. I
Like-
saw one the other day, I think.
Like my 24, I just carried it on a dolly.
Yeah,
Just
and that's what a lot of people
pad-
do, a furniture dolly or just a regular one, and just
pad it
So-
up and just make sure you watch out for the fans on the side.
Yeah.
You don't damage the fan housings, but other than that, it's pretty simple.
So how about the Mike? Did you have anything to add about a 24 that maybe we didn't cover? I know
I
those
think
are
the biggest thing that I've seen is people not realizing they have to have some kind of desk or stand to put it on. That
Gotcha.
all of a sudden they get it and it doesn't fit on their desktop. Like, not that I had one, but the other brands.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that is
No.
something. They're quite a bit bigger than they look, when you get them there.
Is Thunder entertaining any ideas of having a stand?
They have one, and they've had one
Really?
forever, and it's nice and it works. But the problem is the shipping costs almost twice what the stand cost, and it's not worth even dealing with them. If we could get a whole container, it's not assembled. It's a kit.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, but you put it together, and we've used to sell them, but honestly, I mean, it ended up being like $500 for the stand or something ridiculous, when you could get it straight from China for $150,
Yeah.
plus the shipping. So we actually took it off the page, and now we just have all the builds that people did and that kind of stuff. I liked the idea of the stand, but honestly, they didn't go through enough of them that it was more trouble than it was worth.
The cost
Why-
of lumber now,
why
that
can't-
$500 could possibly be cheaper.
Well, it might be.
Why can't-
It might be.
Why can't they make it like a standard feature and just package it in a crate with the laser
Well, now that's an option.
and just
Yeah.
make it a flat out standard thing? That way people, don't have to worry about it and they got it. You would
Yeah.
think it'd be cheaper that way, maybe.
It would be, and unless people want their own thing. I mean, they've been doing it this way for so long. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be something to bring up to them. We run stuff like that up the flagpole. They hear a lot of that. Let's do this and let's do that, but they don't do a lot unless they need to. They like to keep what they got going the way it's going. So
What they got works. So
yeah, it does, and we're always looking for improvement, and always looking for ways to make it better. So all of this stuff is good info. Okay, anything else on the 24? If not, let's talk about Lightburn for a minute.
Wait.
you just itching to get on Lightburn.
Still got 8 more minutes of this topic left.
Well, the 35.
Okay, let's talk about the 35. And since Chris is the Fred Sanford of the Thunder lasers, he's taken you haven't had a 24, but you've had everything else,
No,
right? 35,
that's right.
51, 63.
And an Aurora.
Yeah, and okay, see, and because the
And Odin.
the Nova 24s, we don't get a lot of ones that are so damaged, because you could drop those out of a truck upside down and flip them back over and they'll run.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They're packed really well, that's for sure.
Yeah, and small, and the structurally being smaller, that way they're a lot more substantial, a lot more rigid than a 63 would be. Even though they still ship the 63s with the tubes in them, I don't know of any other company that'll ship a Chinese laser from China to the U.S. with the tube in it. Usually they come separate, and you have to put it in and align it afterwards. Or whoever you get it from tears it apart and puts it all back together the right way and then sells it to you.
Brian, what's the minimum door width that'll accommodate a 35?
26.5 inches if you take the hinges and a bunch of other stuff off of the laser. If you measure, I think it's right around 27 if you take the stack lamp and the e-stop and stuff like that loose. But they say 30, but it'll get like 27 or 27.5 inches. We've gotten it into a tiny doorway before.
Because in Canada now, 36
As
is
long as that doorway is not narrow ass hallway.
Yeah. What's happening in Canada? They making your doors wider?
any commercial establishment now is 36 inches minimum for code.
Oh, that's
okay.
good.
You got plenty. You don't.
Yeah.
You got plenty.
Same with the U.S.
So
will that go in without disassembly, I wonder?
That's
No.
nah, it's got to be
You have
taken
to take
apart.
the base off. Yeah. So.
But no, I tried a new method today, taking a 35 off of its skid. When you're space limited, if you think about it, if you're trying to wheel this sucker down a ramp, you need 3 times the width. You need where the pallet is, essentially where the ramp is, and then where the machine's going to sit when it's done. The cribbage method is what I use. Basically, I floated the Nova 35 using a 4-jack, and then I built 2x4s underneath it in like 2-foot sections or whatever, and then it was completely off the pallet, just sitting on 2x4s, and then went from alongside, raise that up, you take a 2x4 out of each wheel, go to the other side, take a 2x4 out of each wheel until basically you work yourself down. And at that point, you only need twice the width of the machine in order to get it on the ground. And it worked out pretty good. I'll probably use that method on a 63 and a 51 coming up here soon, versus trying to ramp down with that wood and having it crash through, and then you're just dragging through chipboard. But
Cool.
I don't know if you,
that might be worth documenting.
Yeah.
I had the pictures up. I was going to pull those up a minute ago, but that's in with our phone system too, and I don't know how to show that without maybe clicking the wrong button.
Yeah. So Tommy,
We'll
your
write it up. We've been
35
making
is on the ground.
Hey, is it gonna fit in the bed of a pickup truck?
I would think so. It's not very wide.
Yeah, it'll fit.
I'm just wondering whether it's worth bringing the ATV ramps and just rolling it up on the look on his face was probably not.
Well, we can use my driveway to an advantage. You'd park at the bottom and then basically have the ramps, lessen their angle, because I got it's kind of a downward driveway, and then just kind of wheel it and go across your ramps. But yeah, getting that sucker off, you'd want to do the same thing. Have a hill or something that you could roll
That's
it to.
my concern is the wheel wells.
My neighbor's got a tractor with forks, so I'm not worried about getting it off at all. And then the ramp to the building here would be an easy drop it right off the tailgate straight into the building.
All right.
And that's probably what'll happen. It'll drop straight off the tailgate into the building.
Well, it's videoed, so we'll see how it holds up.
It'll still work. We might need to send in some glass.
No, the glass is actually, you'd be surprised what that glass can survive. Whatever thickness, 3/8 inch tempered glass, it's going to be the last thing left standing. It's amazing. Not a single broken piece yet. But,
really?
Yeah.
Even though the metals. Well, when I was doing the extrication things, and they showed us this, and there was a big thing on TV about it, about these cars repair shops that would do windshields, and they wouldn't prepare the surface correctly, and the windshield is actually a structural component of that car. And if you don't adhere it to the body panel the correct way, like it can cave in on a rollover. That windshield is actually made to be structural. And they had a thing about the windshields popping out and people being hurt because people weren't using the proper activators and cleaning the surfaces, using the best practices to install them at one point. But yeah, glass is pretty tough. I thought I saw one of those pictures you sent, Chris, that the glass actually sheared one of the plates off that was holding it and still didn't break.
Yeah, it's bent the metal plates and everything. There's been a piece of glass sitting on the honeycomb, so it shipped from LA to East Tennessee out of the metal frame, and it was perfect.
Well, even that one that caught fire that we had the video of, the glass never failed in that. I don't think it even cracked it. Maybe it did. They didn't order any glass. He ordered some airline and some belts and stuff like that, but no external pieces.
Nice.
Except for the rubber that went around him,
Yeah, which I got some of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you some pictures real quick in an email.
Oh, you going to send them can you put them in the chat? Or are you talking to me? Like
talking to you. I'm not that technologically advanced.
So, what do you want me to do with them?
I don't know if you want to show kind of the Nova 35 sitting up on the cribbage.
Oh yeah, you sent those. Let me pull it up real quick. On that one. It may take a minute for me to get it.
Yeah, I literally just sent it.
I'll pull everything for Gmail. Yeah, I'll pull them up here in a second. So,
Yep.
Sorry, I don't have my music ready.
Yeah, we need the music. We still don't have it.
I don't have it ready. Sorry.
Well, does anybody have any questions real quick? I'm going to see if I can make this pop in real quick, and if not, we'll...
The only thing I can say about my 35 delivery was it was interesting that the driver was actually aware of... They put it in long ways, and he was worried about it getting it turned with a pallet jack in there to get it swung back around. So he actually stuck the laser on instead of another set of pallets that had end access. So he had the laser sitting on another set of pallets. So he just slid his pallet jack in there and pulled it right straight off.
I got you.
I was like, that's pretty preemptive and
that's
smart to be able to have it set up that way. The point that they can swing it inside the vehicle
and making stuff happen, which is what's supposed to happen.
Which I think if they stuck the 61s in their exact same way, that they could possibly, or the 51, the 63 or 51s, they could possibly still swing those inside of a truck. Because he didn't have much. Well, that was 2 in his truck. When he swung it and actually got it turned all the way around, it was wall to wall because he had like a narrow truck.
Yeah.
And so he was still able to manipulate it. Yeah, it took him a few swings and everything. But I looked at that going, that was pretty ingenious by the way that he had the skids and set underneath of it when they loaded it with a forklift because they shoved it clear to the front because he had a bunch of other deliveries. And he was able to deal with it that way. I could tell he'd been doing it for a while.
Yeah. Okay, I found the pictures.
Swinging stuff.
So now let me share it real quick. Let me pick the right screen. There we go. Okay. So this is what?
So it's about all the way down. So what I did is I wheeled it off. So using the casters and the original skid, I used my 4-jack, and I actually had a piece of board in between in the next picture. But yeah, and just wheel it across, and you let that last bit of caster sit on the pallet still. Then you put side by side boards 3 high on 2x4s, and then you pull the thing completely off the pallet, put the stack of wood underneath the backside wheels, and then the pallet can be pulled out of the way. And then once it's sitting on the stacks of 2x4s, you just go to front side, take out a row of boards, go to the other side, take out a row of boards, and back and forth until you're on the ground. Gotcha. It means it only takes 2 widths versus 3 widths wide of garage space to get it down.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't have to deal with the ramp.
Right.
Gotcha. Cool. How do I turn that off? Okay. All right.
Now we're over 15 minutes. Next subject.
Are we there?
Yeah, we're at 15. Yep. Go next subject.
Okay. Lightburn. And for Galvo. Now.
Ooh, when's that coming out?
Now.
Yesterday.
It was released a little while ago. And it's free for 15 days.
It come out last year. I was just checking.
It beyond the Galvo stuff, and you can try it if you've got a Galvo with EasyCAD 2 for 15 days before you have to buy anything. But beyond that, even just the let me find the notes. Or let me just pull it up in my Lightburn. I don't think I have it turned on. Okay, so there's a start. Let me pull up the article. That'll be the best way.
Hello, Jeremy, by the way.
Hi.
Article 4. Start delay. There we go. All right, let me pull this up and I'll show you real quick. You know how everybody, we even had articles written on how to rewire the machine to make the fan come on and all that stuff.
Yep.
So now Lightburn has, and I think this is the right one, clean screen, has it built in so that you can add a start delay. So it'll kick the fan and stuff on whatever time you set here. I've got mine set to 8 seconds. Now you don't want to use the end delay otherwise, that's going to add on to the time because the TL timer manages that. Remember, there's a timer for the exhaust and the air assist to stay on after a job for a certain amount of time. It's 15 or 20 seconds, I think, default, but you can change it on the TL timer. But now you can add a start delay here so that the peripherals will kick on a set number of seconds before the job actually goes out to the machine.
Yep.
So problem solved on that.
You're putting a software delay that you can manipulate in Lightburn on the front end, and then you can actually add to the TL timer. So the hardware's there, and then you can add to it if you wanted to make it longer. You just can't subtract to it and so forth.
Yeah. So that's a neat thing. There's a couple other things in there, like when you hover over the air assist thing now, it'll say high-low instead of on-off, and it'll show whether high is on or off. That doesn't toggle from high to low in the, if you're looking at the overview in the cut settings, but I could pull that up, I suppose. So a few little things that are kind of Thunder specific there. And that one about the start delay is not just Thunder. Right? There's a lot of people that wanted that feature, even though it specifically helps, but it helped anybody with an inline fan especially. So. Does anybody have any questions or anything?
No, that.
I just want to say that on the support side of that, I can see a few questions that are going to come because it will start. It will move to the start point. So depending on if you're starting in the bottom corner or where your scan, I guess, degree is, if you're at 180 degrees, it's going to move from like the bottom all the way up to the top. It's going to wait that 8 seconds while it's there, and then it's going to start moving. So there's going to be some people that are going to be like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. But we can expand on the documentation and even make a little video about it or something.
In 1.2, does it automatically set it to 8 seconds, or is it still set to 0?
It's defaulted to 0.
So then nobody's going to be confused. The only people that are going to care about it are the ones that are going to go in and change it. They know what they're changing. So I doubt it'll be an issue.
Well,
yeah, you put a lot of faith in humanity.
I work a support desk as well, guys. Come on now.
I'm going to mute my mic.
There are some settings that miraculously get enabled, kind of like Z-axis moves that people aren't aware of.
Yeah,
so
I
wouldn't dismiss it. It causes confusing things already in the line where when somebody has a start delay, and like the laser just sits there doing nothing. So we've seen those tickets. I think Chris is on point.
I'm sending over a gigantic photo, trying to do it on granite, testing the HR head, and I'm waiting for it to skip, and the second that it started, I was like, great, here we go.
Yeah.
But it started right up.
Yeah.
So we're good.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So that's really, the cool things that are in there. There's a bunch of other stuff. The head-mounted camera, it's still in beta, but when you go into Calibrate now, it'll give you the choice of whether you have an overhead camera. What is he laughing about? What did I do?
I forgot about the head-mounted camera. That's another one of those functions that just showed up and bit me in the butt a few times.
Oh, yeah. So the bugs are supposed to be out of it. I haven't tried it again. I've got one mounted, and I was using it in the beta. But I'm going to mess with it, and I don't know yet. I'm not far enough in if you can set up both cameras and just toggle between them depending on what you want to do. That ultimately would be cool, but I'm not sure if it's got that much capability.
So I've been running.
You have a machine with a head-mounted camera?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm. Actually,
Brian does. We don't offer one, but Brian has one.
Oh, I do offer it, kind of. Here's an article on it, and here's the file for the cut piece that I used. I used a piece of 3/4 inch acrylic and drilled a hole in the side and made a little mount there and just stuck it on the head.
Cool.
So.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking the head mounted on the Galvo head rather than on the CO2. So I was like,
oh, well, we've got that one too. We're working on it. I've got a camera on my Galvo also. I've got a camera on every laser I've got now, I think, except Odin. I don't have one set up on the 32 yet. So, the Odin 22 I had a factory camera, which was weird.
Well, back to the question on whether you could switch between them. So I've got two Lightburn cameras, one on the fiber on the Galvo mounted, and then one mounted, on the door on my 51. And I switch between them in Lightburn. The biggest issue with it is because they're both identified as Lightburn camera. There's no way to change the name. You got to make sure as to which one you're using.
Yeah.
And if you open two instances of Lightburn, the comms will only port the camera to one. So you'll open your second instance of Lightburn and you won't have a camera in it. Even though you have two cameras, they both go to the first instance.
Yeah. Well, what I was kind of referring to on the head camera is different because it uses a whole different calibration system and a whole different everything. So switching from overhead camera to overhead camera is fine on the gantry systems. But when I switched to this one the first time, it locked me in it and I could not go back without changing some code in the preferences or in the config.
Oh.
And that part's been fixed. But what I wonder is once you say I'm going to be using the head mounted camera, if that's just your choice, or if I'm going to have to go through and I have to play with it. I'm asking questions that I haven't even tried to find the answers for yet. I'm just kind of talking. But I want to make sure that if we're able to switch between them, or whether we're going to have to recalibrate or pull in different configurations every time. So I haven't gotten quite that far yet, because once you put it on head mounted camera, it stitches all the images together. It moves real slow in the outline of whatever your artwork is, and then it'll stitch all that imagery together to create the overlay instead of snapping one static picture of it.
Which one's going to be more accurate?
The head mounted camera is going to be way more accurate.
A lot less parallaxing because you're a lot closer to what you're taking a photo of. Mm-hmm. You're taking a lot more photos, so they're a lot smaller, so it reduces the parallaxing even more.
And your pixels are more effective, and
you have a better
pixel density,
better resolution.
Yep. Again, you've got a lot more photos to work with, so.
Yeah, and everything in the scene is used. It's not like when you put a 120-degree camera on a 51 and you can kind of see the sides of the bed, stuff you're not going to even use, the sides of the gantry and all that. There's some unused real estate on that sensor, whereas the one that's on the head-mounted cam, I think it uses every pixel, to its benefit. So.
How long does it take to scan the bed?
I think it depends on whatever you have your Z move, your transversal speed set to. Oh. I don't know. I've only tried it once and it was buggy and hung up and I couldn't get my other camera to work. So I haven't played with it again yet. That's why I'm saying I'm talking out of the side of my neck on this thing. Yeah. But I'm going to play with it and figure it out because it's interesting.
I'm interested to know. Yeah, that's neat.
Me too. I still haven't hooked up mine on my 51.
Oh, yeah.
The overhead. Yeah, I saw that on the website last week when I was working on the bed leveling, and so I held off.
I don't even have one.
That's why I came on today. I was wondering about that camera and what if it's going to be more accurate, and especially with the 51, like you said, you get that big area, so very interested in that.
Yeah, and we'll expand on the documentation as we play with it. So, I could go. We could still talk about Lightroom. I could go to the changelog and look at all of the new stuff in it. There is some neat stuff in there. Have you played with any of it, Chris?
Padding is pretty sweet.
Yeah. Let me find it real quick. Let me go to their site and I'm going to pull it up for a minute.
What is it? Padding?
The padding is going to be that's their entry level into nesting. So basically, you select all of your objects. You hit pad to the left or to the right or up or down. It's going to push everything until it hits a wall. So basically, your artboard will be your first wall, and then the second wall will be that object, and then it's going to hit everything and kind of try to nest it together. But it's not manipulating anything. It's just pushing it all to the side as close as it could get.
Okay, so here's a animated GIF of the docking. See, it basically just smushes it all up the best it can. Now, there's full nesting in Lightburn, but it's using a third-party API right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like that docking padding. You keep your orientation if you're engraving things, so you don't lose quality or have differences in quality for doing those like tags or earrings or whatever. When you rotate an object, it changes its quality. So I kind of like that docking function.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's and that's their first step into full nesting native inside. So you can see that they're pushing towards it, and this is an excellent step.
Yeah. They'd always said that they're going to eventually hard code the nesting into Lightburn, and they just put this Nest SVG place or Nest.io or whatever they're using, that third-party site, as kind of a wizard, so to speak, to get us some kind of function. But it looks like they're starting to work on it. I think that's the first part of it, like Chris said.
Find a better software for $30 a year that updates as much as they do.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right.
Material linking is kind of neat. I'll put the link to this in the chat while I'm thinking about it, so that we can go back and look at this.
The material linking is actually really nice. It's one
Have you
of those
played with
things
that?
where.
Can you expand on it a little?
Yeah. So the material linking. So if you go into your regular cut settings, right? You go in and you've got a layer on the black, for example, and then you go assign one of your material libraries. Let's say it's Baltic birch, 1/4 inch plywood, engrave. When you assign it, that black layer is now locked. You can't change it without unlocking it because it's linked to that material. So you don't accidentally screw up your settings or double check that, did I actually apply my setting? Because I do that so often. I'll go into my material settings and apply it, or click on it, look at it, yep, that's the one I want, and then not apply it, and then go run the job, and it didn't even apply the.
Which also implies that if you have your files all assigned or associated, linked with the material, if you change the material in the library, that's a global change. So let's say, for instance, you get a new laser tube and you notice that you're going to have to cut everything down 10% on your power just because it's burning through everything now. You can go in and make those changes in the global library, and that'll go across all of those files. Is that?
Yeah, it's linked to your material library. Yep.
Right.
So and it works across files as well. So if you go, your layer that's linked to that, it's tied to that material library, which is your standard, which is nice when you're doing artwork from, say you're using the same materials or same artwork on two different lasers, like a fiber and a CO2. Right, you can still have the same file and just link it and bring it back and forth quite easily.
Cool.
I wonder how that works if you send the file to somebody else. I wonder if you could export whatever library entries they were using so that when someone else opens it, they would be there. That would be neat. I guess you could just give somebody your library. You could do that. That'd be neat if that was built in.
Set up the same though, wouldn't they?
Well, I think that the title would have to be, and it's case sensitive, would have to match. But I think that's probably about it. Depends on how they parse the data from the XML.
Yeah,
but it's all XML.
It could just be a zero-based array, and everything could just be numbered on the back end. I'm a database guy, so I mean, I could write that system, but I wouldn't do it by words ever. Be numbers.
Yeah,
right.
And that's one thing that feature during the beta come out later than the feature where you could just add the like the job run notes, right? So your last minute checklist when you run it, and that's one of the things that was in my notes was make sure you've applied the right settings, right, the right library before you run it. And, now you don't have to do that anymore.
So they added a don't show again on the library fail message, which thank you for that. I have 5 lasers on one machine, and it would show that message like 12 times, 15 times before it would finally go away. I don't know. The start and end delays for the DSPs for the exhaust time. Some numerous crash fixes. And I haven't played with it. Whoa. Linux CNC profile.
Yep.
I have a Linux box sitting here. What I need to see what that is. Is that what I think it is?
It's for a CNC, I think.
Yep. Well, CNC can be anything. Lasers are CNC.
It can be. Lasers CNC.
Yeah, lasers are CNC. It just doesn't have a rotary spindle. It's got a laser source.
Yeah. I think that'll be a separate platform if he's going to do that.
Yep. So yeah, and so what I think that is there is like custom CNC software if you go build your own CNC machine that runs Linux CNC. So I think that Linux CNC is a CNC software system.
One kind of like LaserWorks was for the G-code machines.
Yep.
I got you.
So one that you skipped there that actually about saved me and my wife from getting divorced right there. So anyone that designs on one computer and uses files on a different computer, those fonts that are on the design computer that are not on the other computer, and you bring it in and your fonts are all screwed up, when you send the file, that SVG text importing, it converts that font to an SVG, so you can still run it. Now you can't go on the machine without the font and edit it, right? So if you wanted to go change your name, for example, it'll save you having to go, convert it to a path and send it or install that font.
So it just automates making all generated text or objects into SVGs into paths before it sends it out. Okay, that's awesome.
Anybody know what the first thing under general is? Added multi-pass sublayers?
Yes.
Yep. I know exactly what that is.
Okay, go for it, Jeremy.
So I can tell you where I used it, where it was very useful, is when I do leather add on my fiber, right? So the settings I use on my fiber, the exact same speed and the exact same power, but I'll do two passes. The first pass will be like a 0.1 line interval, and the other one will be like a 0.025, right? You can't do that in one layer. So you either have to generate 2 bits of artwork. So I press Control D, duplicate it. The black layer is this, the red layer is this, and run it.
Right.
That one, you go into your settings and you add another sublayer within the setting and run 2 different sets in the same one, so you don't have to create multiple layers.
Or 3, or 4, or 5, 6, 7.
And the other thing that you'll notice is the fill plus line in the mode on the cut window has disappeared because you do it as a fill layer and a line layer.
So when it does the pass, does it do the full word hello and then come right back to the bottom, or does it do one line, then one line at the bottom, and then work its way up to the top?
No, it'll run it as effectively like 2 layers, right? I don't think it's as valuable on anything outside of a fiber.
Well, I'd asked them. I put a request in on a rotary, so people often run into like Yetis and other things that kind of have a thick coating. Whether or not we could index the rotary, do 2 passes on it, index the rotary, do 2 passes, because you really don't want to get all the way through your graphic, rotate it 360 back, and then, or whatever angle it is, and then do a second pass, right? So that maybe doing 2 back to back. It seems like that the little black soot layer, I don't know if we could actually make it easier to clean on some of those. I didn't know if that was going to do basically 2 passes, a left and then a right, and then a left and a right. Doesn't like it does.
So
yeah, I don't know about that either.
No, that being said,
you could set
no, but
way.
when you do your
on the rotary, you could set it up as a 0 degree and then 180 degree and have it come right back. So that would actually work, Chris.
But without indexing the cup, like basically you do 1 pass to the left, 1 pass to the right, then you index it, 1 pass to the left, 1 to the right.
You wouldn't be able to index it, I don't think. You would just run 1 pass and then another pass. As soon as it's done, it would come right back and run the other pass.
Yeah, I don't want to have to rotate
like fingers
back
crossed.
Yeah.
No.
I'd rather do it 2 passes, 1 to the left, 1 to the right, then rotate the cup, fraction whatever degree it's got, then do the next one until it's finished.
Yeah, so ultimately you want to do it in between your splits, right? So if let's say you got a millimeter split, right, on you mark it before you index it, you'd run your 2 passes on that, then you'd adjust.
Yep.
Let me see. I might know a way to do that. Let me play with it, Chris. I was playing a lot around with the Chuck rotary because it's a bit goofy. I don't like the chuck rotary, but but yeah, I was playing around a lot with it, with effectively move, do some work, rotate it, and effectively trying to combine like a rotary move to a project mark, if you will. Trying to combine two of them, and might be a way in there to do that.
All right.
Hey, and Brian, I don't know if you saw under general, but it says that they did add a camera type chooser for overhead or head mounted cameras to reduce confusion.
Well, the chooser, if it's what if it's what I think it is, hold on, let me see. It's choosing when you do the calibration, not necessarily when you're choosing back and forth between them. Now, I said, I don't know yet. I'll show you the. I think I will. It'll pop up here in just a minute. Let's see. I got to make sure it goes to the right place. Yeah, I'm fixing to get some others.
Yeah, I need to do that too.
Okay, so if I go up to, I don't have a camera plugged in, do I? Yeah, good enough. If I go to Calibrate Camera Lens, I'm going to pick that camera. Whoa. That doesn't look right. Let me try. Let me try. Maybe it's the alignment. Yeah, here we go. See, you can choose whether it's over the work area or whether it is the head mounted.
Okay.
So the lens calibration is the same. It's when you get into here, it's easier to choose. But I think this is what they mean by it's easier to choose. But I think once you choose, you're stuck with it until you go back through the calibration and choose the other one and go back again. But again, I haven't tested it all. I need to do that. But yeah, and I'll align them both and see if I'm able to do that, and then I'll follow up with that, in the document, because I am talking about stuff I know nothing about right at the moment. So,
because that would be cool to be able to utilize both. Be really cool.
Yeah. So, and let me see if there's anything else in that list.
Can you put a link to your article on the head-mounted camera too?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Portal, head mount, and I PDF or password protected the zip file of the actual file for the head, but just email me and I'll get it.
Gotcha.
I did that just because I figured if somebody can't make an L out of a piece of acrylic, maybe they don't need a laser, but because I can even do it. I designed that all by myself, and I'm proud of that stupid stick figure thing because I don't design anything.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'll put a link in there to it. Head-mounted Lightburn camera. So, does anybody have anything? It's the last 15 almost. Look, Jim doesn't let me floss through two of my things there. He's gonna have to the shot collar.
No, we've been doing good. We've still got 3 more minutes left on this one. I got you switched.
Good.
Yeah.
So here is the link to the Lightburn head mount camera.
I actually got my phone sitting there staring at me so I could keep the time on it.
Nice. So I'll have to go back to the webinar article to see what's next. I have so much stuff flowing between my ears, air usually, that
Is it the 15 minutes supposed to be like open discussion?
Open discussion, yeah. So hey, I hit it right though. I was like, does anybody have any questions?
Bingo.
Right. Well, if anybody's got anything, open up your mic and say hey.
Using the rotary, when you use it in fill in line, I do the fill first, and then I'm out trying to outline it, and the outline's just slightly off.
You're lucky it's just slightly off.
Yeah. Don't do a line.
Like to do vectors because it
doesn't
like to spin the cut back and forth like this. It likes to advance a little and then have all the movement this way.
Yeah.
So if you can turn your acceleration down and that kind of stuff. Go ahead, Jason.
No, that's what I was gonna say. You could just turn your acceleration down on your U-axis, and it'll allow it to be able to do it without messing up. You just gotta find that sweet spot where it's efficient but it's functional.
Yeah. And slow down. You want to go pretty slow.
I'm basically
doing the
engraving
vector.
terracotta pots, and
Yep.
and then just putting the name of basil or whatever. But I discovered if you get the settings right with these things, the line tracing, if you get the right setting, actually turns out black. So it really looks really cool.
Yeah.
So adjust the what was that setting again, Jason? Sorry.
You want to adjust your acceleration settings and your idle acceleration settings, and then your idle accel speed. You want to knock those down.
Do we have an article on that, Chris?
Yeah, I was going to see if he's got anything recommended in the manual or anything. I haven't written anything about that, but
I don't have anything recommended because it's all personal preference, really.
Yeah.
To what is functionally viable. Like I said, you can fine tune it and find that sweet spot where it's still effective. And it works well.
If you want, Tom, you can email support@thunderlaserusa.com, and we'll kind of draft an article off the info we give you on where to go to find those settings in the machine settings, and some general guidelines on what to maybe start with.
Brian, how do I order one of these?
Is that the stop ring that goes around the 2-inch head to mark where the autofocus calibration is? I think I've got one of those. When you open up that ticket, I'll send you one.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom has got me like obsessed with fine tuning this laser to do photos. So
hey, up until a few years ago, that people just put a little line on the side of the tube. They didn't have that little ring.
Yeah,
so we're uptown now.
I'm getting ready to teach my daughter how to use it. So I never use autofocus, but we discovered a few weeks ago those sensors were very necessary.
Yeah.
So I got everything dialed in. Now I'm just like really fine tuning the laser, working on some painted canvas.
How'd you discover that? What'd you run into?
I tried to do I finally broke down because I have a Mac and I upgraded the Lightroom software. I've been kind of waiting to see what glitches everybody else had. And I went to do a focus test, the new focus test in it. Instead of doing a ramp test like an idiot that I've been doing all along, and I was going to compare the two and do a video for one of the Facebook pages. And as soon as I hit enter, it just didn't sound right. I look out the window here; it's out on my porch now, and I just saw the bed coming up. I hit that stop button real quick, but I still got my bed a little bit with the head. Yeah,
hey Tom, on your
you guys, all three of you guys helped me with the bed leveling thing. I still got that 1 millimeter difference in the middle, but I figured the 51. I don't think I'm going to get any closer with that. It kind of seems like the bed's sagging a little bit, but I've worked it out with that job I'm working on. I'll just do a smaller. I was trying to get a template in there that does 472 keychains at once.
Gotcha.
When you do your clay pots, try doing the inside offset.
What was that, Chris?
The offset fill.
Oh,
run it at try that because it's going to do basically you can do a score line interior and it's going to keep on going inside. And all of those clay materials, like a clay brick,
I'll be right back.
they want high heat to activate the color in them or to turn it black. So running that inside.
Yeah, I didn't realize that by the different heat settings. First I kind of just went light because I was afraid I was going to shatter the thing, and then just playing around with it, I just discovered last night. I did. I don't know if you can see it. I did that. Yeah. Can't really see the outline, but I went hard and heavy on the engraving, and then I turned the outline down real slow so it would hope it would be really accurate, and ended up getting a black outline. It looks awesome. Yeah, just messing. It's amazing just messing around with the the speed and power settings, the different reactions you get out of terracotta. Well, thanks.
I heard terracotta. Sorry about that. I had to jump out for a second. had to tell somebody bye. So All right. Well, does anybody have anything else? Richard, do you have anything as far as Bean Buddy related or any of that kind of stuff? We don't have.
I got some new products coming as prototypes. You guys will get them soon.
Okay. Sweet. Well, just like everything else, just keep on pumping them out, and no news is good news, right?
How are you making out with that photo, Chris? On that granite.
He's talking to you, Loco, because I can't find my HR head.
Doing good. Yeah, I'm trying to find the sweet spot again. It's a little higher than the quarter. But yeah, I mean, the power is so concentrated on the granite, and now I got to turn it down. So I'm at 9% power, hoping it works. But we're close. We're close. And I think
on that 130, putting that HR head on that 130 is a hot little beam, boy. It definitely is. Because have you seen? Let me show you this real quick.
Hey, Loco, I sent you a photo. Did you ever get a chance to look at it?
Where'd you send it?
To your email that you sent me in a meeting like 3 or 4 of these ago. I don't remember. Email though.
Brian, Facebook.
So let me pull this up real quick. Talking about how hot something is. Let me see if I can find. There it is. Share. So that 130, it's an SPT tube, I think, that you've got in yours. At 100% power, which should be about 29 milliamps, you're actually producing 158.7 watts at the third mirror. That's without the opto isolator. It might be slightly lower with the opto isolator, but not much. So and we've got this data for all of them. You know, like the C90, it's showing it'll do 100 watts. I measured 88.6 at my third mirror last time, but that might have been at 90%.
So interesting thing when I don't know who saw the video of the Love 1-inch thick acrylic I did.
Mm-hmm.
One of my first runs off of I had to raise it off of the bed because that flashback was actually popping the sides. That's how much power that thing is putting out. It was crazy. The flashback
it looked like somebody chewed the side of it. Like
it was insane. Yeah. So there's some power there for sure.
Good question on the HR head. Does anybody know a trick? I'm working on painted canvas, and I have to stop it like every couple of inches because it gets so much residue on the bottom of the head. Is there any trick to doing that without having to stop it?
Blowing air across sideways is about the only thing that I found that helps.
I saw that a couple months ago. I've been working up in North Carolina, so I've kind of been absent of this. But I saw that somebody had another like separate air thing blowing out of the side. Is that still available, or did that ever become available, or?
Jason at Rotoboss has one, and Light Object I think makes one as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The one at Light Object is where did it go? Is one of the ones that goes points to the side. I'll pull it up. Jason has one that's more like a laminar flow head, but this is the Light Object version. And see, you could possibly fix it enough where it'll blow underneath the lens and blow across it instead of down. Yeah. Oh, cool. And the one that Jason has, I don't know if it'll fit on the HR head.
Okay.
What size is the tube on it?
It's 21. The same 21 millimeter.
Tube's the same. It's the nozzle's different though at the end.
The nozzle's different.
Yeah. It's flat. Actually, the nozzle's flat on the bottom. Yeah.
Well, see, I got a high res. I can actually just modify the design to fit it.
Why don't you see if your nozzle can keep the dirt off the head of that HR head and see what you come up with?
Oh, it will.
Yeah, like I saw it, but I haven't seen anybody use one and what the results were. So I didn't. So that would be huge.
On my YouTube channel, JER Custom Designs, there's a video using a different laser, but it's the same
same head, same nozzle.
It's an HR nozzle?
Well, no, it's a standard nozzle. I mean, I'd have to test it on the HR head, but I mean, it keeps the surface clean. It keeps the nozzle clean on a standard, even on the Thunder, the 2-inch nozzle. I mean, you don't ever really have to worry about anything building up on that because it's like a skirt of air that comes around all sides and blows and funnels it out the back of the head. So it doesn't have a chance to blow back onto your material or settle on the material. And it kind of, I guess for lack of a better way to put it, kind of super cools the material that's engraved so it doesn't have a chance to kind of adhere to anything.
Because that's the other issue I have is it'll ball up, when it gets too big and it gets stuck on the head. Once it builds up, all of a sudden a big clump of it'll, come flying out and it's all over you have to stop and clean everything off. Oh, okay, cool.
I never thought about that, but that's for a different laser. But if you click on the Thunder one, it'll should bring up the Thunder.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's the Thunder one there. It's the same principle. It's just smaller for that type size of head.
That would just fit over the the flat cone on the bottom.
I don't know. Well, on the HR head, I don't know.
The air comes out of the skirt on the bottom, and you can put that thing as far down as you need to. And then basically what it do is you slide it down to the bed surface, and then you just raise it up to whatever height you're comfortable with as far as clearance wise. But I mean, it'll sit a millimeter off the bed and still work fine. But I do got to check it with the HR just to make sure there's plenty of clearance there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, check that out.
You could remove the cone too, Jason, probably with that setup.
Yeah, might be able to. Well, I don't know. I mean, it creates. I don't know, like a vortex. Not a vortex.
Because you want to keep the lens clean too, because that's.
Yeah. I'll take a look at it.
The thread is an M22 thread on the bottom.
Is it? Yeah. Well, the collar just slides over the head, the nozzle. So I can check it tomorrow and see if what I have will fit as is. Or
you don't need to check it, Jason. I just went and grabbed mine real quick. It's a little bit tight. You need to cut the inner diameter of it.
Okay, yeah, I can modify the drawing to actually fit that, and then test it out.
I can send you some nozzles if you want, Jason.
Buddy.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I just stuck a link to that one about the air enhancer in the chat also. That article that has the one that introduces it from the.
I don't even know how to get in the chat.
Mine ideally, I run it anywhere from 40 to 60 psi, but it doesn't 55. Just dump out air. It's restricted.
Creating a good blanket of air under there, then that sounds exactly what you need.
If you look at the videos that I have on my Facebook or my YouTube, I mean, it's night and day. Because normally you engrave it and like especially wood or acrylic, that white dust, it doesn't have a chance. It doesn't have a chance to solidify onto the material, leaving that kind of ring. I mean, it does slightly because of the heat, but as far as like the residue and the powder that normally sticks to it, doesn't typically do that. And with wood, the video has with and without, and the one without has black soot built up inside the engraving, whereas the other one is completely clean. So.
Yeah, I'm doing a photo
and I bought it.
And it just kind of falls up underneath it after like, I'd say about an inch and a half. It'll start getting gummed up under there, and then I usually see piece fall out, then I have to pause it and clean it. And
Tom, did you figure out how to get in the chat?
I said I'll verify.
If you look up in the top right part of your screen, you'll see 3 dots, a settings wheel, and then a little box that should have numbers next to it. If you click on that, that'll be your chat window.
Gotcha. Thanks, man.
Cool. Hey, it's
Look at that
3:59.
time.
I know. Isn't that sweet? It's getting better. We're getting a flow.
Yeah. And this week we're going to make sure that the buttons hit before we switch.
Yeah, because I don't want to have to re-render those.